people of faith. Let's take another walk. We're continuing the series, or we're continuing the subject of deliverance from, or the deliverance from pornography, or pornography deliverance. This will be part 3, and we're going to talk about the subject, the importance of one word, and in this day where we're in now, it doesn't really hold that much value. But to the receiver and to the giver of it, it holds the most value. The majority may be against it, but the ones who's willing to receive it and accept it, they would treasure it. The one word I'm going to say is called smile. S-M-I-L-E, smile. I'm a person who doesn't smile. I blamed it on, not having a pretty smile in comparison to those, in comparison to what was considered as a pretty smile. A pretty smile was considered to have the brightest coloring of teeth, the shape of the teeth, the certain structure of the lips that is not discolored, if it's a certain size of proportion. But actually, the smile comes from the spirit of love. To be able to smile, there has to be love inside the soul. For a person not to smile, fear is there. And what keeps them in fear, what keeps us in fear is holding on to the hurt. A person may say, or you may have heard yourself say, or heard someone say, there's no reason to smile. Then you are a person that's holding on to hurt. You are a person who haven't taken the next step within himself to looking within and see love. Instead, it's like this. If I had how about this? If you got a letter in the mail or email or a phone call, a text stating that you have an inheritance. Okay, and this inheritance is you have land like an island, and you have unlimited supply. You have no need for want. No need to be without, right? You have everything that you need there. And let's say like you get to this island. Now you all excited because, for one, you probably never have had someone to offer you an island before, or unlimited supply of resources. But you get to this island and it's full of, when they pick up the trash, the trucks pick up the trash. Just imagine all the trucks all over the world was dumping all that trash on that one island. Would it still be that inheritance that you look forward to of receiving and be a part of? I don't think so. Because you don't see the inheritance anymore that's of good. You see the inheritance that's a lot of mess. You don't want a lot of mess. This is when the soul is covered inside, was covered with mess, with evil, with fear, with hurt. It takes away, or it allows the mess to stay on your inheritance. So when someone said, when you forgive someone, it's not necessarily for that you just forgiven them, but you actually forgiving yourself, because you're removing the opportunity to lie in mess, to sleep in mess, to to have mess inside your soul, inside your mind, that you're going to reproduce mess. You desired the very best. You desired the island that's beautiful, but you actually inherit an island that's full of mess because you hold on to the hurt. If you can't see yourself for the person who hurt you, or the person who betrayed your trust, or stolen your innocence, and we're not going to pinpoint it as a person per se or a loved one, it's actually the enemy inside them. Now, that can go as deep as far as they so know which one is good and evil, and they could have been tricked themselves. Now they inherit this spirit, and now they're gonna pass it on. By If you're not a part of that cycle, if you're not doing what they did to you, to other people, then you are considered the blessed. You have broken the curse. The curse is a continuous act of torment. You have broke it because you're not passing it on to someone else. So with that being said, you are in the position of authority over the tormentor, which means you drew the line that whatever that those people were doing before you that tried to get to you and even got to you, you have the authority to say it stops here. I'm the last straw. I will not pass it on to someone else. And matter of fact, that allows you to go to the island of a blessed island, of a beautiful island, with all the resources that you ever could need, versus going to an island that's full of mess. So the importance of the smile is to say that the soul is on an island that's beautiful. If you want to, if a person is looking for a reason to smile, the reason to smile is because love is with you. We have said, and I'm guilty to this, God loves me. Okay, if God loves me, well then that means His Spirit is inside of me. That wasn't meant for me to keep it. It's to say, if God is with me, it's to say I have an unlimited supply of love to give. It never runs out. The only time that we may think love runs out is because fear is there. So like if you gave it to someone and they didn't give it back, fear is there. Because now you made the love conditional. It's based upon if you give it to them, they give it back, then it's love. It's not love, that's fear. Love has an unlimited supply. It never runs out itself. Love is self-sustaining. It reproduces itself. You never run out of love. A person says, well, I'm all out of love. No, you have loved and now fear has entered in. You have placed yourself in a position where love didn't tell you to go, but out of proving yourself or wanting something that you really don't need, you put yourself in, let's say, call that pride. Based upon pride and greed, it's put you on an island to put your love in a place where it doesn't belong. Or furthermore, you could have been an inheritant of surrounded in the atmosphere of those that never was free from hurt, never was delivered from fear, never separated. They may have had the same opportunity. They may have been presented the same opportunity that you've been presented with now. There's a line in the sand that we can cross. We can either go in the steps of the ones before us, or we can make a new pathway. This is either we're going to be cursed or we're going to be blessed. Are we going to be generationally cursed or we're going to be generationally blessed? So the people before you, the atmosphere that you was raised up under, may have had the choice to, in which we all will probably be faced with this. Their choice was, do I forgive the person who hurt me? Repeatedly. Do I let go of the expectation that they was not supposed to hurt me? Do I let go of the fear, if I forgive them, that they will hurt me again? Every person will experience this. This is determined if we're going to walk within the blessing or walk within the curse. Are we going to continue the generational curse, or are we going to continue a blessing of inheritance that if you look around you, your family may have never seen? A person may say, well, forgiving is foolish because I'm the only one getting hurt. Love is not foolish. Love is never foolish. Now, what love does, it gives you access to the Spirit of God, where God will tell you when, where, how, what, and even sometimes why, to disperse this love. If a person is not receptive of the love, the reason why, because they're not loved themselves. They are afraid of love. Fear and love cannot coexist. Fear and love cannot be in the same mind at the same time. One or the other are going to have to be there. So if you're giving this person love, if I were to give you, so like you came to me and you asked me for a cup of water. And I go get you a cup of water, and I give you this. You receive that love, right? But if I come back to you, I'm sorry. But if you come back to me and say, well, I want ice with this cup of water, that person didn't receive your love. That was the line in the sand to stop. If the person asked you for a cup of water and you went and gave them the cup of water, you give them back the cup of water. They say, I want ice with this. They haven't received your love. Stop there. Stop right there. What we would try to do is to prove ourselves in validation, to go over the top. Stop there, because that person is saying what you gave is not good enough. Stop right there. Now, it's up to the Father and the Holy Spirit to work with that individual, because you planted the seed of love. Now it's up to that person to receive the love. If they was receptive of the love, they would have took what you gave them without no complaint. What you would have gave them would have been more than enough, because love is within them. And you can only way you can value love is within you. If you have hurt inside you, you can never see love. So this is why a person will say nothing is good enough, or you ever heard a person say like nothing is good enough for you. You're a hard person to please. If you're a hard person to please, that means you're not serving love, because the smallest thing or the smallest expression of love is huge. It's huge. Anything that comes out of love is big, is large. So a person like, well, this is good, but it's not good enough. That person is a place of hurt. They're in a place of disorder towards love. They are not, and they're probably possibly refusing to be in oneness with love. It doesn't matter what you do. Nothing would please this soul until they surrender by humbling themselves to love. So let's tie this up with a smile. So if you're able to smile, that means your island is not full of mess. No matter what your looks, this is me. This is my testimony about how I feel about a smile. It's not the structure of your teeth. It's not the coloration of your teeth. It's not the coloration of your lips. It's not the size of your lips that makes or that gives the impact of the beauty of the smile. It's where the smile comes from. Does it come from a place of love, or does it come from a place of fear? We can all see can I say the word disingenuous, or a smile that's not real? We all have seen a smile that's not real. It's a fake smile. It's a front, because it comes from a place of that's not connected to fear. But we all have seen a real smile where it just, when you see it, it just changes your life. It gives you like this joy. It refuels you, or fills you, or continue what you have started inside of you. It's like an inspirational spirit, which actually what it is. It's inspirational. It inspires you to be of that self-same spirit. So if I'm able to smile, if I'm able to look in the mirror and smile, and I see a joy, or I like summons the presence of joy to come to my soul, then my soul is being healed, or my soul is whole. It is sitting in the seat of love, and love is perfecting me. But if I go to the mirror and for whatever reason I cannot smile, I'm in great bondage. I am a servant, or I'm a slave to fear. Take that self-same smile in the mirror, from the mirror, and give it to somebody else. It's a transferring of joy. If you're not in a position to go to the mirror and be able to smile, love is not really present inside the soul. If it is present, it's covered in a lot of filth. Going back to that island, you have an inheritance. Wherever you go, whatever that you do, the blessing will follow you. If you're on this island that's blessed. But if you're on an island that's cursed, wherever you go, whatever that you say, whatever that you do, the cursing will follow you. It will come out of you. It will come out of you, so which means you're basically being a magnet to draw it to you. I didn't mean to say that. Within your soul is up under that cursing. It's up under that direction. So there you have it. So the first step that we discussed about separating ourselves from. Okay, let me stop there and say, how does this connect us away from deliverance from pornography? Remember, if we want pornography to be gone, and not just pornography itself of actually watching it, but the effects of the spell that it cast when we started watching it, we're going to have to dig up the root of it, which means it's like I said in another video, in a prior video, if you have a flower that's in soil and you dig up that flower, you have a hole there. You're going to replace a flower, or you're going to put a flower in that dirt or in that spot, or you're going to cover that hole with dirt itself. So we have two ways to address the soul after we kick out pornography, or if we kick out anything that's actually bringing us torment. You're going to either replace it with something, or actually going to allow it to be covered with wholeness, with perfection, which is love. So, when we kicked out the pornography, and if we're going to fulfill that hole or be perfected in our soul, we're going to have to we have to invite love for number one. Then we go into humility. Then we express that humility by showing the act of love. This is when we pray for others that's in our situation, or maybe other situations. And then now we I guess this will be the fourth step. I guess this will be the fourth step. Let's see. Inviting love in, humbling ourselves. Third, then we pray. We have a lifestyle of prayer. Okay, I'm sorry about that. With the third step, forgive me. The third step is when we, going back to the flower, once we dig out the flower, we're replacing it with humility. We're replacing it with love. We're replacing it with peace. So when we demonstrate these things, we are demonstrating the act of the spirit, whatever. So how are we going to, let me change that. How are we going to demonstrate the act of the love, the peace, the humility, is when we pray for someone else. If we had a lifestyle of pornography, that means we were up under the influence of that spell that's inside of us that came out of pornography. So to remove that spell, you can either put something there in the place of that, or you can make the soul whole from that spell by actually creating a lifestyle. Okay? All right. If you're going to be whole, you're walking in love, you're walking in peace, you're walking in humility, and you're walking in forgiveness. Okay? You're walking in all that. That's when the soul is whole, is perfected. You're walking in it. And you don't mind giving it out all the time, no matter if the person is your worst enemy or not. That's what we are striving to be whole. But here's the option of, like, we're seeking for that, but God will give us this step to do, which is to fulfill that whole with another flower. This flower could be a lifestyle of prayer. Uh, where instead of you watching pornography, like, okay, for example, if you know, if you ever been in a situation where you it's kind of the situation is full of pressure. Let's say, for example, a bill is due. This is something we all experience. A bill is due, and we were told that we were supposed to worry. We were supposed to worry about basically how you're going to get this bill done. But let's subtract the worry out of it. If you don't worry, what do you do then? Because we're taught to worry, we're taught to be afraid, we're taught to panic, we're taught anxiety, we're taught all these unclean spirits to have these thoughts inside of our soul. If we don't have those thoughts inside of us, then what? Then what do we do? What else? Because all we have known was just to do that. If I don't do that, then what? Now your soul is free. And if your soul is free, now you can have joy. Now, this is the significance of the smile. If you don't have a reason to worry, you have a reason to smile. So if we invite love in by going to the mirror, this is the first step, by going to the mirror and saying our first name, I love you. Doing it one time is like having a bucket and putting one raindrop inside of it. Would that bucket be filled after that one drop? After that one drop? No. So it will have to continually to rain in that bucket till enough rain fills itself up, overflow. So you have to pour a lot of love into the soul of your well that's definitely been deprived, because more than likely the love has been stolen, the love has been killed, or the love has been destroyed. The thief comes from that. The thief comes exactly for that. It comes directly for the seed of God inside of you. Because if the seed of God is not inside of you, you become a servant to that seed that's trying to steal it. That's how it goes. You're not a, we only have two choices. It's either good or evil, blessing or cursing, love or fear, or we can, it's only two choices. There's not a gray area. The gray area is the person who's trying to stay on both sides. They haven't made a decision. Do I want to be good or do I want to be evil? That person's indecisive. And an indecisive person is very unstable. They will be tossed to and fro with every situation. They will be pushed around. They will be dragged out. Whatever situation comes towards them, it will get the best of them. It will get the worst of them. They can go either which way. They are unstable. They are a living ticking time bomb. This is my life. Because I refuse to make a decision to either be good or evil, to be in love or to be afraid. My sister said something to me, because I came to her and after having the stroke, the stroke wasn't ordinary to me, because it wiped off a lot of memories in my life. It's like I got a brand new start. I mean, it's like, it's not just remember how to walk, how to eat. I had to remember how to count. I had to remember how my mother looked. I had to remember a lot of stuff. So in a world that you don't know who to trust, And the one person that you could trust is not there. So I'm in a place of great fear, which more than likely put me in a position for the stroke. But let's say it this way. Before the stroke happened, I asked God to be delivered from fear. There's no greater deliverance than actually having to face the thing that you're in bondage to, that you actually being enslaved to. There's nothing better than facing a bully and beating the bully, regardless if you win or you lose. There's nothing greater than actually facing the bully. So going back to this, I'm dealing with this in my head, and I have this position to go forward or go backwards, to go back to the lifestyle of full of fear, where fear it was just all over me. I was just afraid to do everything. And even to the point where, to prove that I wasn't afraid, I put myself in a lot of stuff that I shouldn't have been afraid of. I mean, that I should have just stayed away from. But I put myself in positions to try to prove that I'm not afraid. And the only thing it did was prove that I am afraid. To show dominance over fear means to be able to walk in love. You will never beat fear by trying to prove that you're not afraid. The best way to defeat fear is to walk in love. That means to walk in love, that means you will be facing fear. Because fear itself is going to say, you don't want to go here. You don't want to do this. So like the act of love could be giving out your last dollar. That could be the act of love. Fear would say, you don't want to do that. So to walk in that love is to actually give out that dollar. Now fear would say that's you shouldn't have did that. What about you? You know, that's what fear wants to do. It wants to grab the soul to put it back in fear. But actually you are set free by walking in that spirit of love, by giving out that dollar. So with that being said, my sister gave me this. I was talking to my sister one time, and after the stroke, after dealing with all this inside of me, and I was at a place of, if I was terrified before that point, it's like this is like the final straw of it. Like it's have built up to this huge, huge, huge thing that covered my soul. So I told her, I said, because I thought when I had the stroke I was going to die, which means everybody's going to leave the body. How we leave the body is what we ultimately is afraid of. If you are in love, you're not afraid to leave the body because you're inside love. There is no fear to you. If you're not in love, you're going to be inside fear, which is fear is going to torment you to actually leave the body. So I was in as what you just heard, I was in so much fear that I was afraid to leave the body. So I asked God, I said, Father, don't allow me to die like this. I don't want to die like this. I don't want to die to fear, because my soul will be in that fear. And I will be in that fear for eternity. I don't want to be in that fear for eternity. I don't want to be afraid. Just imagine yourself being afraid of something. And I'm not talking about something of evil, like afraid to go to sell drugs or to go steal from somebody. I'm not talking about that fear. That's fear trying to get you to be a slave. All right. When I'm talking about fear, is that something is passed on to you, more than likely. Fear is to walk in love. All right. This person just slapped me. Do I walk in love with that situation or I don't? And you can find yourself not walking in it so much that you become afraid to walk in love. So I'm consumed with not walking in love. Then I'm just afraid. So if you're afraid, what are you going to be? You're going to be a magnet to fear. You're going to be a magnet to the curse of fear. You're going to draw a lot of this what we call negative energy, you're going to draw it. No matter how the fear got there or how the fear is there, it is allowed to be there until we're willing to walk in love. And we're going to have opportunities to walk in love. But fear, the fear that's present inside your soul, don't want you to. So it's going to try to do everything you can to convince you not to walk in that love. Because if you walk in that love, you are set free from the fear. Now you could be on this island. That's all love, which there's an unlimited supply of resources coming your way. If you want to see a blessed person is a person who's walking in love. Stuff comes to them. It just comes without them even trying. It comes. Why? Because people see you, and they don't see you, your shape, your size. They see the spirit inside of you. And we are, as people, we draw to power. Regardless if that power is of evil or if that power is of good. We're drawn to that power because it's a source to plug into. Right? It's a source. It's a power source that we can plug into. So if a person is walking in love, people can't help but to bless them. It's just how it goes. I can't explain it. That's how, I guess I can't explain it. Love is so beautiful. You want to be a part of it. Fear is so ugly. It disguises itself as love to get you to come be a part of it. Because fear knows itself. Fear knows that love is beautiful. Why does fear know that it's beautiful? Because the author or the starter of fear was once connected to love. He was made out of love. But since he's separated, all he knows is to be away from love, which is to be fear. So fear knows if you connect to love, you won't hold no reason to, you have no reason to be afraid again. And I'm not saying being afraid to go ahead and do something that will put you back into fear, but to be afraid to do something out of love. Now, going back to this, to what my sister, she gave me an offer. I told her that, okay, I'm afraid to live, but I'm afraid to die. And she basically said, like, you got to make a choice. It didn't come out with the most, in the most sensitive way. You know, it came out pretty harsh. Like, came out pretty violent. You know, like, bro, you're going to have to make a decision. And that's what life is, making a decision based upon love or fear. Because ultimately, it's our soul, the mind, the will, the emotion, intellect, and the imagination is what's holding either fear or love. To show proof if fear or love is in your life, what is coming towards you? Are you drawing fearful people that is considered good company? Or are you drawing fearful people for they can be delivered? If you're drawing fearful people that for a company, like you enjoy their company, even though they're coming to you with the fearful stories, they have all the stuff, they just come with you with torment, they come with you with pain, they come with you with hurt, and they're not coming to be set free, they're coming just to have conversations. Then you are a soul that's full of misery. Because misery loves company. And it only wants the company of itself. If not, it wants the company of something that it actually can make miserable. That's why misery loves company, so it can refill and refeed itself. They come to you with misery, you're going to give them back that self-same misery. They come to you, you give it back. And that person said, I want to get deprived from that. I mean, not deprived from that. They want to separate from that. Well, then, now we're talking the language of love then. So, I was in a state of misery, afraid to go forward, but don't want to go back. I don't want to go back to fear. I don't want to parse of fear, because remember, that was what I cried out to God. I wanted to be delivered from fear. So the stroke presented me this opportunity to face fear. And from that moment on, all the way from, this is October 2017 to this very day, my life has been a walk of love. to perfect me in love, to make me whole in love, which means every day, all I'm facing fear constantly. How to see, because the effect, well, if I were to say this, the effect of the stroke did this, whatever. All right, but everything that I'm doing is out facing fear, which is if I'm willing to face fear, it's like standing up to the bully. You will show that you love yourself. You're not going to go pick a fight with the bully. The bully is approaching you. You're not bothering the bully. The bully is coming to you, but by you standing up for yourself, shows the value that you love yourself, regardless if you think you're going to win or lose the fight. You're standing up to the bully. Fear is a bully. But let me tell you something that you probably have never heard. There is a bully to the bully. For every predator that hunts the prey, there's a predator that's hunting that predator. So what I'm saying is, if fear is the bully, there is a bully to fear. Let's make this a full circle. Love is that bully. Fear is terrified of love, which is why it does everything possible to keep you away from love, because it's no longer a part of it. It would do everything in its power, which is all fear, to convince you in which ways to either to convince you to be afraid so you can continuously be afraid, or it tried to con or manipulate you in a way that you, like, you're too good for that. You're too good for love. You don't gotta love. It try to persuade you. If it's trying to persuade you, that means you're that powerful inside love. If you ever got to the point where you threw your hands up and said, forget love, I'm not loving nobody. Fear itself was saying that you're so powerful inside love, it can't do anything. So the very best that fear can do is try to persuade you, pressure you to the point to throw up your hands. I'm not loving anybody. I'm not loving a racist person. I'm not loving this, because a racist person is not a person that's racist. A racist person is a soul that's consumed with fear. What's the worst that a racist person can do? Be racist to you? What is that? What is that to say? That they hate you? Okay, well, even if that racist person wasn't there, fear or hate would still be there. Because we are in a deciding factor in time. Either we're going to go with love or we're going to go with fear. If you go with fear, you're going to serve hate, which means hate is going to consume your soul, which means you're going to draw the cursing. This is going to lead the person to the lake of fire, which you have heard. Hell itself is going to be swallowed up in the lake of fire. All right? But if you walk in love, love continues circles around it, whatever. So to tie this all up with to go into the mirror and smiling. My sister gave me the option to make a choice, to go forward or go back. I'm choosing to go forward inside love. Every day of my life, I have to face fear. And a person that's listening to this can say, so do I. Exactly. And every time you face that fear that's trying to prevent you to walk in love, you are showing your dominance on the earth. With that dominance on the earth, now heaven itself is listening to you. Because now you have the self-same spirit as the one who created you from the very beginning. God has no fear. He has no hurt. The true living God, I'm not talking about a God to someone, whatever. I'm talking about the true living God. Has no hurt inside of him. Has no torment inside of him. Has no evil inside of him. So if he has none of this inside of him, to be his, you can't have that inside of you. Which means is you are walking in his spirit. If you don't want no parts of those things, it's to say because he don't want no parts of those things. That would be your parent, right? Wherever your parent goes, you're going to follow. If they're not your parent, you're not going to follow them. If Jesus is the big brother that's serving the Almighty God, Jesus came to be the example to show us the way to that love without fear. Jesus showed, if anybody argues that Jesus is alive, whatever, okay, let's say that. Whatever. Or let's say that he's not alive. He never walked the earth. But the stories of him shows how dominant he was on the earth. So dominant that the wind obeyed him, that he was able to tell a large tree to dry up within 24 hours. He turned water into wine. Now people say like this is unbelievable stories because the reason why they are unbelievable because you're full of fear. You're full of misery. Your imagination's on tilt. It's your imagination can't even imagine anything that good. That's how much evil is consuming your soul. So Jesus came to be that example, not to be for us to make a religion of, not for us to do all these traditional things. He came if we receive what we read that he did and said like, okay, he did that. Okay, I want to know. All right, so that spirit comes inside of us. Now we become a child of God because his purpose was to bring us that spirit from heaven that we don't serve fear anymore. Then now we serve love, and if we serve in love, we are a child of God. Have you ever seen? Jesus didn't have the millions. He didn't have the trillions of dollars. He didn't have the house on the hill. He didn't have the mansion. He didn't have none of that. He was the slums of slums. But have you ever seen Jesus without? It's amazing how he had nothing, but everybody was coming to him for everything. That's power. To have everything, but you don't want nobody to have it, is so powerless that you will become envious to the one who has nothing, but everybody's coming to them, and you get and they're helping them. There's no worse of evil than to be jealous of a person who's walking in love, who's demonstrating in love. There is no worse of evil than to be jealous or envious of someone who's actually walking in love. So if that person is smiling at you, I wish they stop smiling. There's no worse of evil than you to not receive that smile. Now, if that smile, okay, if that smile is disingenuous or it's coming from a place where you know it's evil itself, it's trying to manipulate you, it's trying to, persuade you to do something that's not walking in love, then okay, walk away from that. We cool. We wash our hands with that. Keep moving. But if that smile is there and you know is there because it's confronting something inside of you, that smile is actually leading you to smile. If that smile that they're showing you is leading you to smile and you're like, I ain't trying to smile, that means you are so consumed with hurt and you're okay with living in that mess. That means you're going to be cursed. That means whatever that you do, whatever that you say, whatever that you try to attempt to accomplish, it's going to fall apart. It's going to start off good, but it's going to fall apart. This is what the Bible will talk about, the 7 years of harvest and versus 7 years of famine. It's going to show up as good, but then it falls apart. What you really desire, and let's be frank, what you really desire is to have an unlimited supply of stability that whatever that you say, whatever that you do, whatever that you touch, it always works for your favor. Works out in your favor. It always works out for your good. That means that your spirit, your soul, gonna have to be aligned with what is good. This is why Jesus is such an option. But it's also the reason why Jesus is so persecuted. Jesus is not a figurine. He's not a person like in flesh and blood. He's a spirit. And they that worship God must worship him in that spirit by receiving that spirit that he is the truth. It's hard to believe in something that you haven't seen because we're taught to believe in what we see. To believe in something that you don't see is the act of faith. And if we were to put that act of faith into Jesus, who we have not seen, and then by something that we have not seen shows demonstrations that we read about. Let's say if, for example, if you believe, if you called upon Jesus to come into your life, all right, you really don't believe, but you ask him to come into your life, and he starts showing you the demonstrations what he showed in the Bible. What do you do then? Never mind if he's real or not, if he's white, blue-eyed, if he's black with dreads. All right, okay. The 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 picture in the Bible doesn't have a description of what he looks like. Man has tried to make an image of him because the man is trying to find something they can relate to. But if humanity will ever understand themselves, they're not a body. You a spirit. So if that person can read something or heard something about Jesus, all right, I heard, okay, my grandmother preached to me and told me, all right, Jesus is Lord. All right, let's say I heard that. But what if I went and took that and say, Jesus, if there is a Jesus, Jesus, you, whoever you are, wherever you are, show me what you showed my grandmother. And if that spirit, or if that, what you just asked to show you, start showing you stuff, what it showed your grandmother by showing you what it showed her in the Bible, what do you do then? Do you continue to believe? Is it considered a lie still? This is what the average person who doesn't believe in Jesus is dealing with. Because more than likely, they going off the testimony of someone else, but they never experienced them for themselves. If you never experienced him for yourself, you don't know if he's real or he's not. The only way you'll find out if he's real or not, if he have revealed himself to you. Then you can make a decision if he's real or not. But based upon what somebody else did or what somebody else said,